Shading in ebony pencil or a #2 pencil on your project, you need to show a full range of value. So think about where are the lightest values going to be and where will the darkest values be. Whether you're doing the dragon eye or the human eye, the entire paper is going to be covered with ebony pencil except the iris and the pupil. That's going to be done with your colored medium, and I have another video to show you that. So if you're drawing the human eye, you're observing yourself still in the mirror, looking for the darkest areas and the lightest areas, so you can start shading with the lightest areas first. And you're going to use the edge, the side, the length of the ebony pencil to do this, to start establishing value everywhere on the paper. Nice and soft. We don't want to see scratchy pencil lines in the direction that the skin is going. So curving around your eyeball, you're not going to shade with flat horizontal or flat vertical lines. We want to make sure that it still looks like it's round and curving up around your eyeball. So starting with the lightest value, remember the exercise you did, we did one, that value of 1 across the whole entire box first, kind of doing the same thing here, but with curved lines so that we can tell what direction your skin is going or what direction the dragon skin is going. So you're doing the same thing on here as well. So we're not touching the inside of the eye at all, just the skin and eyebrow and eyelashes. So once you have just this base value down, you're going to go in and shade some of the medium values next. So we always start lightest and work up to our darkest values. So on the human eye, I'm going to look in here at some of these creases that are created when my eye opens up, looking for some of those darker areas. The inside edge of my eyelid, there should be a little bit of a shadow, so we want that to show up. My tear duct is kind of a curved edge of the skin right here, and it's a little bit darker than my skin that is next to it. Underneath my eye, if there's a little bit of a shadow. So you're going in and then establishing some of your medium values. And then your darkest values are going to be placed last. It's important that you're shading in the direction that the skin goes and then building up from dark or light to dark. When the time comes to add your eyebrows and eyelashes, you can just press a little bit harder with your ebony pencil. There should be value behind it though. There's nobody that has a patch of white and then the eyebrows are sitting on top of or in that white space. So make sure you put down a value first before you go over your eyebrows. But we want to see those. It's usually darker than your skin, so you're going to press a little bit harder with your pencil. And a more fine point to your pencil is probably better for this because those hairs are pretty thin. Same thing with eyelashes. Pressing a little harder with your pencil, going down and then up. And these eyelashes you could do after you do the color if you want to, so you're not having to go around them or through them. So this is the human eye, building lightest to darkest. And then for the dragon eye, a little bit more intricate, you're going to start shading those textures that you see. So this piece of skin that kind of folds up above the dragon's eye is going to be darker on the bottom and darker on the top because it's rounded. But then there's also definition of individual scales. So separating those scales with a little bit of a darker value, maybe adding some lines in there for texture because it's not perfectly smooth skin, so a little bit of wrinkles and creases and cracks in the skin. You can add that into there as well. So you're doing one row at a time. Some of these bumps that are over here, how to shade these bumps. Put a base value down, going in the direction again that we think the skin would be going in over here on the edge of the eyeball. Once that base value is down, now going into individual bumps and shading where would there be a shadow? And I'm kind of using scratchy lines to do this because you think of dragon skin, I think of it as being rough and scaly and scratchy. So not perfectly blended in shading with little scratchy lines, I think is okay because it shows and creates that texture that would be on those bumps and scales. So bumps you're going to shade individually, and then scales we have to think about. I'm trying to find a flat edge of the pencil here. There we go. So putting down base value first for these scales, going over them all pretty much, but I'm not done there, and I'm not just going to outline them then. You can't just take a pencil and outline, outline, and be done. Instead, you're going to add a little shadow here underneath that row of scales to tell us this row is sitting on top of this row. So pull that shadow out. It's not just tracing it. Pull that shadow out so it looks like the scale is actually sitting on top of the scale that is underneath it. So you're going to take your time shading the whole entire paper for the human eye. Darkest values last, darkest details last, and then on the dragon eye, starting light going into darkest values last as well with ebony pencil or a number 2 pencil.